Over 2.2 billion cups of coffee has been consumed every day all around the world. That's a huge number, isn't it? There's an equally large number of coffee shops and restaurants around the world selling them. You name Costa, Gloria Jeans, Caribou, Cafe Nero, Tim Hortons, just to name a few. But there's one brand which outstands everybody else, and that is Starbucks, which we have right behind us. Today, I am at the Ibn Battuta Mall, one of the favorite shopping malls in the outskirts of UAE. This shopping mall is named as Ibn Battuta, the famous Arabian traveler who traveled around the world in the 14th century. I'm sure the Arabian coffee world started exploring the coffee only in the 16th century, so Ibn Battuta himself would have missed this one. This shopping mall spans almost 1 kilometer as a single-story shopping mall. The uniqueness of this is Starbucks alone has 3 outlets within this shopping mall. I have not seen any other coffee brand or any other restaurant having 3 branches within this mall itself. How can it be profitable operating many coffee shops next to each other virtually? By the way, do you know that Starbucks is virtually opening up 2 shops a day for the last 27 years? I think we need to seriously look at this. I now invite you to join our panel discussion on the evolution of Starbucks into globalization.
In 1971, Seattle's Pirate Place market, 2 teachers and a writer opened their first Starbucks retail shop as a roaster and a retailer of bean and ground coffee and tea. At Starbucks, they say, it's just a moment of time, just one hand reaching over the counter to present a cup of coffee to another outstretched hand. That's a connection. From their beginning as a single store over 40 years in every place, Starbucks have been a touch and tried to make it a little better than they found it before. In subject of that, we have picked the subject of Starbucks, the evaluation of entry modes, and how they went on to different markets as a global player. Today, we have a panel led by our able MBA partners with me. We have Anjana Vijayagunasinghe, Kirsi Vijayagunasinghe, Risli Nazir, Charita Atauda, and Sudashi Mendes as a part of our MBA Group 5, preparing our exercise on this entry modes of Starbucks. Starbucks' mission statement has been said, our mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. That's been their style, and that's what they have been doing all this time. Starbucks currently has more than 25,000 stores across in 75 countries. From Monaco to Colombia, they have spread all around the world. From the ethical sourcing of initiatives to the employees' options, as well as benefits for the people who work in Starbucks, they have grown as a unique company with continuous evolution across the world. Globalization and technology has been one of the key concerns what Starbucks have been doing all this time. As 21st century business settings, they have imposed and aided companies' international expansion and strategies and tactics. As such, success beyond the national borders as a corporation is not only indicator of success, but it has ultimately become a necessity for survival as a competitive advantage. From their logo siren, which has its own controversies around it, Starbucks have been a brand of success. From partnerships with PepsiCo, from From their coolest of the merchandise, from the various types of coffees, we've seen Starbucks expanding in different dimensions across various aspects around the world. Now with that, we have a fairly good knowledge of what Starbucks is, and I'm sure you are. If I may turn to Kirsty and ask you, can you elaborate a bit more of your expertise on the type of entry modes the Starbucks have used?
Thank you, Rani. To talk about the entry modes of Starbucks, let's discuss a little bit about, in general, what are the entry modes that MNCs generally follow. Mainly there is equity mode and non-equity mode. Equity mode is where they have their ownership when they enter into the country. Non-equity is basically they are being outsiders and they have some kind of, they send exports, or they have some kind of licensing agreement with some local person or company in the country they want to enter into. So there are basically advantages and disadvantages in both methods. If we just quickly run through now, the equity modes are basically joint ventures and solely owned subsidiaries, where the company, the entering company will have more control over their operations in the country. And non-equity modes, as we discussed licensing and contracts and so on, will give them less control over their operation. So Starbucks have used both of them. So they have used joint ventures and they have used licensing. When they use joint ventures, they have used joint ventures where they want to have more control, but with the same thing, they run a bigger risk because it's their operation and they have to have some kind of idea about the cultural things within the country, and they cannot mess it up. Basically, they have more risks. So in the countries where they have entered, they have analyzed the risks. Where there are low risks, they have entered with licensing and contracts, basically licensing. So those are the two entry modes that Starbucks have used to enter into countries.
Thank you, Kirsty. That was a very good insight about how they entered into markets. If I may turn to Charita, can you elaborate us a bit more about how the marketing strategies work in Starbucks?
Thank you, Rani. To talk about global marketing strategy where Starbucks effective marketing management 4 Ps, which are product, price, place, and promotion. We talk about product. Actually, they are into they are mainly into country-specific variants, such as it's not just a coffee. It's just value additions of coffee. For an example, Asia they have coffee jelly frappuccino. UK and Scandinavia they have American style pancakes, and UK, Australia, and New Zealand they have fat white, etc. Talk about pricing strategy. They have premium pricing strategy mainly, then psychological product line pricing as well as international pricing, etc. So talk about the place. They are pretty much into social media with 3 million followers on Twitter as well as 26 million followers on Facebook. So they are going away from orthodox promotional strategies, but they are more into 21st century electronic media promotions. To talk about place strategy, they are selling the experience of Starbucks. And the concept of the third place beside home and work. So you may find Starbucks in one street, actually a couple of Starbucks in one street, basically just to give more accessibility as well.
Thank you, Charita. In that aspect, we've actually visited a few places in the UAE, especially in Dubai. We've actually gone into various Starbucks outlets which we see on a daily basis. The number of Starbucks outlets we have is ever growing and expanding. We have also checked a few viewpoints on why they ended up going to Starbucks and not anybody else?
I like it here because of the chocolate cake. The chocolate cake is very good, and we have Starbucks by us in Germany, and there we go not very often.
So you like the chocolate in Starbucks, not the coffee itself?
I like the chocolate cake. The chocolate cake is very good.
My name is Tina,
Tina.
and I love coffee. I need my coffee every morning, and so Starbucks has the best flavor for coffee, and the big size is very good.
Hello, hi. What's your name?
Amr Ziada,
Where are you from?
Palestine.
Palestine. You come to Starbucks often. Why do you come to Starbucks frequently?
Basically because they offer a very good coffee, and I am a frequent drinker of coffee. And they have really 100% of Arabica, which others don't have.
In this context, I may now focus a little bit on a bit of fundamentals and also some theoretical knowledge. If I may turn to Anjana and ask if you could take us through this area on Starbucks.
Thank you, Rani. Based on the feedback that we already discussed on the panel, let's look into 5 forces introduced by Porter to look into the industry as a whole. So, if you look at the first thing as the rivalry among the firms or the companies, it's very high. If you look at local, global markets across, there are various chains of coffee shops, as well as other substitutes like soft drinks, things like that. So, rivalry among the firms is very high. On the second point, if you look at the entrance to the new markets, it's moderate to high. Because even though there's no switching cost involved, still there are certain other aspects where the new entrant has to consider, like having a distribution channels in place, and then the markets were saturated, how to enter into. So there is a bit of a moderate to high impact in that area. And if we look at the point of substitutes available, that is also high because there are various high range of substitutes in the market, from various coffee options, various teas, soft drinks, and certain companies introducing soup. Different substitutes are available. So there is a bit of a high impact over the coffee industry. The bargaining power of the buyers is also high, of course, creating a lot of impact and pressure to these companies, because they have the option of driving the marketing forces. The other aspect is related to the suppliers, the bargaining power of the suppliers. That is also very high, because the distribution channels to backward integrations, all these things has to be in place for a coffee supplier or a coffee shop to be in the market. So there also it's creating a lot of pressure to the companies. So that's overall my view in terms of how far Porter's 5 forces is applying to the coffee industry as a whole.
Well explained, Anjana. Thank you very much for that. And I think now we need to shift a little bit of our focus towards the internal environment and the external environment of Starbucks. And for that, I will turn around to our international marketing expert, Sudarshi. If you could explain us about the factors, internal, organizational, as well as the external environment of Starbucks.
When we talk about the factors, which is external and internal factors, which is political background and economic and social factors, actually Starbucks has faced all the factors in different countries in different way. I think it is directly and indirectly affecting. As well as when you talk about the culture is playing a major role, which is culture, distance between the people and their behavior, their acceptance and rejections, and the way of thinking has affected the Starbucks decisions about their strategies. And then when you talk about the market barriers, which is government barriers, tariff barriers, government regulations, which is a law, how it in place with the distribution access, natural barriers, which is like environment factor, they have considered in most countries, I think we can get some of the example for internal and external factors how they have faced. And internal factors, which is mostly about how their strategies has placed in the company, language, behavior, service, habits, and social arrangement and employee culture, all they have been considered into account. I think Chalta can bring some example from Europe, how they have entered into Europe and what are the challenges they have faced.
European markets focus on environmental and ecological trends, especially anti-Americanism in place as well. Initially, Starbucks in Europe started with the US approach, just as an office, as a restaurant offering the Starbucks experience. After a while, actually, however, Starbucks evolved to fit the demands of European citizens. When you talk about major markets like England and France, when they entered to the English market, first of all, they were not really selling coffees, but they were roasting the beans. They were doing this almost 1 year. This is the homework they have done before entering really into the UK market. Actually, they knew that there's a huge gap, huge gap of US and UK cultural gap basically entering into UK market.
Yes, exactly. When we talk about the Asian market comparing to Europe, they have started first in Japan, 1997. I think started with the 12 coffee shop together with the joint with Tokyo-based Shanghai INC company. Japanese people has challenges that they will never accept the paper cups or they will not accept the interior with the non-smoking environment. But end of the day, people after 5 years of growth with the Starbucks, everybody has accepted the American culture. Starbucks has even adapted the Chinese culture and Chinese tradition, and they have introduced during the Dragon Boat Festival, Dragon Grand Prix, which is with the 5 colors and 5 days. Starbucks entered into India in 2012, which joined into partnership with the Tata Global Beverage Company. And India market was very tough because without the Tata, Starbucks will not be successful. Tata had a huge customer value mind, so India is a huge market for Starbucks and they have been successful now. And the huge difference they had in the Philippine market, which when they entered into 1997 Philippines, they started in Philippines with the 1 outlet, but now they have been expanded around 227 plus, and they are targeted to be 400 outlets, which we know Philippines is I think 40% is poverty level, but still it has been successful because Philippines is mostly adapting the American culture whatsoever it is.
Well, that leads me into another question on how they enter into new markets. So, if we turn towards Resni's expertise on identifying what are the challenges they may have faced in entering into new markets, Resni.
If you look at the challenges which they might face when they enter into new markets, so there can be so many types of challenges like the political environment, the marketing environment, the taste, the culture, and all that. Say, for instance, if you look at Italy, where they started Starbucks, they took almost 33 years to get back to that market as a new entry. So what could be the reason? Because they got the whole idea from there and they diversified into the complete, the globally, into almost all segments of the continents. Now if you look at some of them, if you look at Italy, but if you look at Starbucks, they have one similar concept they try to implement everywhere. And they try to blend it into the local environment. But if you look at Italy, they were more passionate about their coffee culture. It's like for them, it's like the coffee beans in their genes, So, and they are more cost conscious, and the coffee is more brewed at home or enjoyed in smaller cafes. And the cafes, the coffee shops and the cafes are owned mainly by smaller chains of companies, not huge chains of companies. And they are very patriotic towards them, and they want their own product to flourish in their market. They are a bit reluctant to, especially the US and any other Western products, try to get themselves established in their market. Right? Another market that they found very tough was because they had to exit after some time was Australia. Because Australia, the price is not an issue. They would spend, and there's enough market area for them to go. But what happened was Australia already had their own coffee culture. They had their own way of enjoying their coffee. But Starbucks went forcefully on trying to enforce their culture to the Australian coffee culture, which did not work. See, another aspect which is faced by Starbucks or any other company is the political and the religious atmosphere. Say, for instance, we look at Israel when they entered. They could not survive for a few years at the start. They had to exit the market. If you look at Israel is a single market. But when you compare in the environment, in the region, it's a huge market, Arab market. Because they are heavy coffee drinkers. And if you look at the Arab market, they love these Western types of environment. They with open arms they welcome, and they enjoy them. So after a few years, they had to leave the Israeli market, and it took so many years for them to get back to that market. And if you look at the current day politics, now one of the main challenges they might face as of now is the foreign policy adopted by the new US administration, which they are feeling already. But sometimes even we hear in Mexico as well, they have started boycotting coffee shops, boycotting especially the Starbucks and any American brands because of the embargoes or because of the blockage that they are trying to introduce.
All right, Rishi, that's a very good few examples on the challenges the Starbucks have faced in entering into new markets. So if I may go back to Anjana to summarize all of the insights we have discussed today. Anjana, if you can briefly take us through.
Yes, in fact, like we have gone into detail and got really good insight into different practices they have adopted, like starting from the very comprehensive introduction you started running, and then we look at entry modes which Starbucks has used, which Keith took us through. And also how they have, what their marketing strategy was, things like their diversification of the products and then differentiation and the premium pricing, which Charita very well explained. And we looked at on a theoretical point of view, if we put the coffee industry into Porter's Five Force, how Starbucks has coped up with it, and Sudashi gave us very good in detail explanations on different markets, different economies, how they have fit in well and how they blend in with the culture. And the last example which Resmi took us through. All in all, based on what we discussed over this panel, if we put Starbucks into this SWOT analysis from where they are, I think that they have adopted their practices, strategy and their goals in line with their key strengths. Their management style, their staff, the financial stability, and also I believe the good sense and understanding of each and every market. When they expand into each and every market, like Sudarshan very well explained, culturally they have blending very well, where people would not even feel that it's a chain coming from the US as if they're very own. So they have taken relevant measures and make use of their judgment and the experience for their own competitive gain and entered into these markets it's successful. So maybe going forward as an opportunity, they need to get into more unsaturated markets where there's more potential in the developing countries and developing economies, and move forward with the same trend or same start, which I believe would be giving them more advantage and more gain in terms of global coverage. So that's my view on that.
Well, with that beautiful summary, I think we have ended up in a very fruitful discussion, and we have had a wonderful panel discussion led by our MBA, PIM MBA Group 5 in UAE, with our exercise on evaluation of the Starbucks entry modes. I think as young business entrepreneurs, young business leaders budding into the business world in a very short period of time, it's given us very good insights of how Starbucks have evolved and grown into one of the biggest coffee chains in the world. I hope you all enjoyed our panel discussion and hope it will help you out in getting into new business strategies going forward. Thank you very much.